What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am with Michelle, and we are discussing episode 12, season 7 of Outlander. And Michelle, you said that Lord John needed a butt whooping, but did you think it was going to be like this?
Um, no, I didn't. I didn't think he would. I have mixed feelings all about this episode.
Okay, I do too, but okay, and I had
So
mixed
it's
feelings
hard.
with the
I
book.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, because I don't know. I just kind of felt I don't feel I don't feel like Jamie needed to do that. I didn't. I think maybe the first hit I get just the
Mm-hmm.
reaction of what he said to him, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, pardon me, and you hit him, and then it should have been enough. You
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? Like we can have a conversation. Like we old. We're not like in our 20s and 30s now. We old.
Right. So I think the issue that I had with the way that that whole scene came down with, Lord John telling Jamie, I've had carnal knowledge of your wife, and then not really expounding on it. I,
Yeah.
I think the problem that I had was the way he went about it. It's almost like he was not necessarily mad at Jamie for coming back, but I feel like in a sense he was kind of angry, like, we thought you were dead
Mhm.
and this happened and now you're alive. And now I think part of him does feel guilty about it, but again,
Mhm.
they didn't know. But I think at the same time, I think part of him might feel guilty about it because he might have enjoyed it because it wasn't a traditional, you know, it, it wasn't traditional as far as what they were
Well,
doing. It was born out of grief. It was born out of
well,
anger.
very much of what she said. So he could feel the
Mm-hmm.
same way. Like it
Mm-hmm.
made him be able to move forward
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and everything. Like it's
Yeah.
something that they can't actually describe, but it was something they needed at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it really isn't a sexual thing.
No. But I think at the same time, it was something that I think, like I said, I think Lord John may have enjoyed it because it wasn't just the regular, let's just say regular vanilla sex, regular missionary sex, regular sex between a man and a woman. Like, it was something different. And because it was something different,
Hmm.
I think he enjoyed it because we saw from the last episode when he and Claire were having the discussion, Lord John is not really used to intimacy within a relationship,
Hmm.
you know? And I don't know, maybe there was something about the fact that he and Claire knew what was going on. And not only that, but this is somebody who, even though this is her husband that he is in love with, this is somebody that he could be completely and totally honest with, totally open with about his feelings, about his frustrations and everything. And she didn't really hold it against him. And I
Mm-mm.
think for John, that was kind of one of those things like, okay, yes, it was freeing. I enjoyed it probably just for that fact.
Right. No,
And I think part of him too kind of wanted to hurt Jamie, you know. Again, that anger, that whole, because now you've really, like, you've put all of that out there, thinking that this is something that would never have to be spoken of again or
well,
whatever. But it's just kind of like now it's just
and
all there.
and I feel like yeah, okay.
And Lord John is one of those people, he doesn't lie. He
That's
doesn't,
what I'm saying. It
we've
was like
said
he was
this,
gonna say it anyway. He's
right?
gonna need to say it. And yeah, he's angry at him because it's like you had us go through all these emotions. So it's almost like, and people can understand this, like when a loved one, like you haven't heard from them, and it's a loved one you hear from every day. So it could be your teenage child, your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, and you
Mm-hmm.
normally hear from them, and you don't hear from them, and then you hear like there's a crash, and then you're like, oh my gosh, that's the direction they were heading, and then they're picking up their phone, and you're like, oh my gosh, are they okay? Like, who's in that accident? I don't know
Mm-hmm.
who's in the accident. And then when you finally get to them, and they're like, oh yeah, man, I was in Publix looking at the magazines and had left the phone in the car. I never made it down to that store. And
Yeah.
you like, your ass, I'm thinking you in the accident and you
Mm-hmm.
up in the Publix reading a magazine for.
Yeah. But also, I think also, I
So
think,
like that part, like you got us grieving, you got us going through this or end up
yeah.
sleeping with your wife, and you just missed the ship. I mean, come on. And you just show up like it's rainbows and sunshine.
But also, I think part of the anger is Lord John has expressed all of these feelings. He has expressed this love, this rage, this anger, never expecting that Jamie would be there for that. I don't know, for that information to maybe get to him. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
think this is something intimate you're sharing with just this one person, but now the object of that affection, that anger, that everything is standing right there in front of you. And it's just kind of like, I really bared my complete soul for nothing. Lord John keeps everything close to the vest. He's not used to revealing that much about his
Mm-hmm.
feelings, about his emotions. And so, yeah, he's probably pissed about that too. Like, you made me expose myself to the one person who now I will no
Mm-hmm.
longer have access to in that way, because you have changed the scope of the friendship forever, not just with
Mm-hmm.
him and Jamie, but also what friendship there was and what understanding there was between him and Claire even before they slept together.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of that is changed irrevocably. And he's probably pissed off about that too. Because and then not only that, on top of everything, now his son knows the truth about who
Right.
his real
Yeah.
father is.
Yep.
So now you have this drama on top of this drama, and on top of this, Jamie has now kidnapped you out the city, and there's so much going on. I think Lord John was just here. And so he's taunting Jamie at one point when Jamie is hitting him. He was like, yeah, I did this. Yeah, we were, what did he say? We were fucking you. We weren't fucking each other. We were fucking you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that kind of set Jamie off. And again, I think um, when you read about this part in the book, it is kind of explained in a little more detail, like the conversation he and Claire had. I think there's a little more detail in this also, where Jamie, that offends Jamie because of what happened to him at the hands of Blackjack Randall.
Mm-hmm.
And also, that Lord John did. I won't even say he attempted to do anything with him, but he just kind of he made a move that was inappropriate. And
Mm-hmm.
from then, it's kind of like Jamie knows, okay, so this is how he feels about me. He made the offer to Lord John, but I think for Jamie, I kind of want to say that maybe the fact that they never talked about it, and he just kind of kept like, Lord John is a dear friend, probably his best friend, honestly. This is the man who's raising his son. I think he he loves Lord John, but he also isn't looking too closely at Lord John in that sense. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, for Lord John to say something like that, we were both fucking you, that forces him to really stop and realize, okay, this man is really like in love with me. Like,
Yep.
it's not just a sexual thing, it's not just whatever. That he's also having to confront the fact that he has had this friendship with this man for so long, and this man truly, truly feels about him the way he feels about him. And I just think that just kind of set things off, because it's kind of like, okay, so now you got to deal with this, because again, now that all of that information is out in the open, there really is no way to go back to what the friendship was. And
Mm-hmm.
this is even before, you know, putting the whole Claire thing into perspective. But I just feel like with that conversation, the way that they had it, first of all, Lord John should have said something about the fact that he had to marry Claire to save her life. I think if you had started with that, you might have had a little more leeway. It didn't have to be so combative. But again, you've got emotions all around. Lord John is not behaving in his usual stoic, dignified manner.
Yeah.
He is like frenzied. And I'm like, well, this is what happens when you sleep with Claire Fraser. I don't know what it is about her, but she be having men just acting boo boo the fool. So I don't know. He should have started that conversation a little bit differently. And I realized he was like worried about it. He was like, look, let me just get this out the way. I've had carnal knowledge of your wife. When Jamie said how or why, then you should have started. Okay, so what had happened was you should have started with the whole spy thing, and they were going to hang your wife as a traitor. I married her. It was just a marriage in name, and then blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's not like you didn't have the time before y'all started before y'all started fighting each other. You had time to sit there and properly
Hmm.
explain it. But the fact that you know that Jamie Fraser has the temper that he has, obviously you know this because you're raising his son. His son has the same temper as we see in this episode
Yeah,
as well.
as we see.
So, okay, we're going to move away from Lord John and Jamie right now because there's a lot to unpack with that. So, we'll come back to it because I'm sure we both have more to say. But since we mentioned William, let's talk about baby boy because woo woo. Like,
I don't know what to say. I did say that I felt bad for him. However, he done pissed me off.
because he messed with your boy.
He messed with Ian. And not that he fought him. Because first of all, maybe he didn't know. Just don't assume. But you know what? From conversations, yeah, Ian knew. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm never
But
mind. I
even
just
even
said
if he knew, that does not give you permission to throw your hands and hit him. And then when he hits you back and you have him arrested, you
that's
tell
why.
Rachel, I didn't attack him. She was like, duh, yes, you
Yes,
did.
you
Hit him
did.
in the face.
And
But
and all because then you realize, oh, y'all get married? Dude, all last week, that's all she was talking about. In. Where
yeah.
you been?
Yeah.
Where have you been? So you
I
upset
mean,
about that. And
but I
then
understand that
you,
his whole world is falling apart.
I know all at the
So,
same time. I get it though. I do
mhm,
get it. It's spiraling. And
yeah.
in that spiral, you felt the need after you get her fiance arrested, you gonna kiss her. William.
So,
But you done messed up though, because you messed with my end. But I'm gonna give you some leeway because I understand that you truly are upset
right. But here's the
about
thing.
who you are, because you don't know who you are.
If you were gonna kiss Rachel, you should have done that before.
Long
like
time ago.
like you had your chance, you had your moment. You could have at least threw your hat into the ring and been like, okay, I understand that you're all about Ian, but I just need you to understand that I kind of love you too. And but I don't know, maybe he's too much like his father in that way, like Lord John, keeping those emotions to the vest. And then now that everything is falling apart, he's just exploding. He comes and talks to Claire and get some, a little bit of information from her, which doesn't really happen like that in the book, if I remember correctly. But I'm kind of glad that they
Okay.
had it because with Jamie and Lord John both not being there to answer questions, he needed something, But again, I have to remember 1700s because his first assumption that his mother is a whore just because, you know, all of the stuff it's just kind of like, dude,
Right.
dude, like, And he was like, yeah, they said she was reckless. They said she was reckless. I need you to calm down. I need you to get at least part of the story. Just get enough of the story to kind of make you stop and say, okay, maybe I should wait and hear the whole story before I just start going off. But no, you start throwing things in the house. You break the chandelier, you break the mirror, and it's just a lot. And then you go to the brothel and you meet this you meet one of the women in the brothel, and you have a moment where you lash out at her, you grab her, you're rough with her, and then you kind of realize, like, oh shit, what am I doing? And I'm just like, William, I need you to calm down. But I will say this, I'm glad that they did show that part, because that means that a part of the story that I wasn't sure they were going to bring into the show is going to happen. So I'm looking very much forward to that.
Oh, because they brought Jane in.
Yes, because they
Okay.
brought Jane in. I also am glad that they aged her up for the show,
Oh,
because in the
oh,
book, Jane is, I believe, 15.
oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And she has
Yeah.
been working in the brothel since she was like 11.
Oh
She
no.
had been living
Mm-mm,
there since 9. So I'm
mm-mm.
glad that they aged her up, because in the books, um, William does develop a genuine affection for her, but it's more so like, yes, he does visit her in the brothel, but just like it happens here, he's trying to keep her from that other soldier. I can't remember what his name was, because he is a right ass in the books. So he's
Okay.
trying to protect her. And then of course I think they do sleep together maybe once or twice, because of course it's kind of normal back then for that type of thing to happen. But then after that, he takes more of a protector stance with her. And it's a very sweet relationship in the book. So I'm glad to see it in the show. I'm sure it's probably going to be a little bit different, since the character is aged up a little bit. But
Right.
I
Yeah.
think we'll still get to see um the bulk of that relationship, which is good for me, because it's one of the storylines that I really do enjoy in the books. Just kind of seeing William and how he's trying to deal with all of these revelations and all of these things that he's dealing with, but also him having a part of the story to himself that does not really involve the rest of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy that, seeing that, because that made me it endeared me to his character a little bit more, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because one of the things that you and I have talked about is William being raised as who he was, the ninth Earl of Ellesmere. He's raised with a lot of privilege, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
I will say entitlement. He's raised to kind of have a certain world view that's not necessarily, let's say, the same type of worldview he would have if he was being raised by Claire and Jamie. So you start to see the growth of his character and the maturing and kind of the change. Like, he's really starting to have to look at things in a different way. And that will happen with his character in the show. And I'm looking forward to that, because again, it's one of the things I enjoyed the most about reading the later books, is
Yeah.
just seeing more of William's character. So, but boy, let me tell you,
I'm glad that he had the opportunity to release some of that with her, like to say out loud, I'm a
mm-hmm,
bastard. And I felt bad when he was like, all I had was my word, and you kind of made
you
me take
made
my
me break.
word,
Yeah,
break the
I
word. I
did.
felt like, oh, ma'am, you could have just left him alone for this one night. He just
Right.
needed his word.
But you know what? I gotta say it too. He probably needed that more,
He did
because
because
he's isolated from everyone now, and I feel like he just needed a comforting
he
touch.
did. I mean, he absolutely did, and he needed to express that to her, to someone, sort of what he was feeling.
Yeah.
So,
But also it's
um,
good, so he can let her know, okay, look, I'm not a dick like this in person, or all the time. Like, I'm
yeah,
I'm genuinely struggling with some
this is
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
I would have never put my hand on you otherwise, because if if Lord John and Jamie found out that he put his hands on her, Oh, he would be in the ground. Both of them would be like, no, this is not what we do. But he had to get them that frustration out. But let me tell you, the fact that he was acting so out of character that he made Rachel, of all people,
Yeah.
slap him because of the way he was acting. Oh, I was like, you know what?
Well, I
I
mean,
hope that
like,
snaps him out of it.
well, it didn't because he still was he went to the
Angry.
brothel in that way, still angry. But yeah, he was all over the place. I mean, he was all over the place. Rightfully so, though.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. He took it out on the people that was closer to him at the time.
And it kind of mimics the way his sister found out about Jamie and Claire and the way that she behaved because she pretty much had the same reaction.
Yeah.
And this
So,
is something she also warned Lord John about.
mhm.
She said he's going to, when he finds out, or if he finds out, he's going to be angry. He's going to
Right.
feel betrayed.
But there's certain things you can't say in front of Ian too. You can't be talking about Ian uncle slash daddy.
No, no.
Mm-mm.
Especially after
He just lost his dad.
you just lost him. And at this point, William knows that Jamie is alive, but Ian doesn't.
Right. So he thinks both his uncle and his dad is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Dead. And you want to talk some mess about Jamie.
Right.
Oh no, he's not going for that.
Mm-mm. Then the way you kind of come across is like cousin. Oh, so And then Rachel was like, "What? Oh, that." And William was like, "What do you mean that?" She was like, "Well, when I kind of look at you, yeah,
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
kind of see
residual.
it.
I
You
love it.
kind
She's
of
like, I kind of see it.
Yeah, you kind of see it. And it's so interesting because later on in the episode when Jamie does appear and because he sees Ian and Rachel tells him what happened when he pulls um William to the side and they're looking at each other. You can like their facial features are not all like their noses are different, but you can tell that Charles Vandervaart, who plays William, you can tell that he has studied Sam Hewen and
Hmm.
the way he makes his facial expressions because there are some moments where he does very much resemble him in kind of like the cock of his head or the way he stands or just certain mannerisms. So yeah, Rachel was like, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
And I guess in some ways that might have made it worse because he was like, "Oh, if you can see it, who else can see it? Who else is known?" And that's just going to add more
yeah,
to
more,
his distress. But at this
more.
point, it's kind of like that. There really is nothing you can do about it now. Like it's out in the open now. So unless y'all just continue to pretend, which at this point, I don't know because William doesn't know what has transpired between Jamie and Lord John. So he doesn't know that right now they're at odds. He doesn't know that while they were in the middle of their discussion, they were set upon by some of the rebels.
Yeah,
And because they are familiar with Lord John, because they've seen him sitting on his porch in his uniform, they're like, "Oh yeah, this dude is he's a British officer." And Jamie is trying to tell them, look, this is personal business. We just, you can just go about your way. But of course, again, here's the whole thing. You are friends with a British officer. You are friends with a rebel soldier. Not only a rebel soldier, a well recognized general of the militia. So, right then and there, y'all two being together, having whatever kind of discussion is not, it is very suspicious. Again, if y'all had just said, so this is a personal matter about my wife, they probably would have left it alone. They
hmm,
probably would have left it alone.
yeah,
But there was something about the name because apparently there was a British soldier by the name of Charles Gray, who is some distant relative to Lord John, who has caused some commotion within the
yeah,
rebel camps, within the rebel army. killed a few people, and so they're looking for a way to make an example. And of course, his cousin just happens to be here. Has no they don't have any kind of papers, or Jamie doesn't have papers supposedly on him. And they're like, yeah, we're just going to take him. We're going to take him. And then when they do take him, they find a letter of commission in
I
his
know.
pocket from Hal ordering him back into
Back to
service.
reinstate.
And
Mm-hmm.
he didn't even know because he hadn't had time to read the letter. Matter of fact, I think that's what he was getting ready to read when Jamie burst in the door in the bedroom. So he hadn't had time to read it yet. So now this makes it look like he's a spy because he's not in uniform. He was just getting beat
And
up
he's sitting
by.
here lying about his service.
I was just like, Jamie, you could have tried harder to save him because you I understand that you may do certain things as far as if he's a prisoner, you're not gonna just outright kill him or whatever. But bruh, this is not anything good for Lord John.
It's not. And I was like, I'm skipping to the end. Did he get
Yes.
shot?
Hmm.
Did he get shot?
Um
Oh, spoil his friends. Because
I
I don't like that. He already in the dark. He can't halfway see. They chasing after him with dogs and guns. I said, do we really have to end the episode like
I
this?
don't think he got shot, but
I'm gonna assume he
I mean
didn't.
he's not
Only
dead.
reason
I will say that. He's not dead. He's not dead.
right. And I'm assuming he wouldn't be dead because we still need
Some
William
closure
and
with
him to
with
have
mm-hmm,
some type of
mm-hmm,
conversation.
mm-hmm.
Because
Yep.
then William would be even more devastated if he dies and he had a chance to tell him how upset he was, but then also tell him that he loved him. It'll be so
Yeah.
much worse for William.
Yeah.
So
We're not gonna do that. We're not
that's why I
gonna
was like, I don't really like how this episode ended. I don't really.
Yeah. It's to keep you in suspense. I don't remember if he actually got shot or what may have happened because again, some things are going a little bit kind of out of order,
Hmm.
if I can say that. Um because leading up to this point there's some other stuff that would have happened. Um so yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think he got shot, but I mean, Lord John is just not having, what is it? I saw somebody say it, and I had been thinking it. He's having a no, uh, what is it? A no good, terrible, bad. I can't remember the name of the children's book, but he's having one of those days. It's just not. Oh, poor Lord John. He's just, now he's in enemy hands. And apparently, the
Yes.
person who is in charge of the camp that he's at, he knows because there was some dialogue between them, like they knew each other. But aside from him calling him Smith, we don't really know anything about this person. We just know that he's like, okay, well, I hate to have to do this, but yeah, we're gonna let the camp doctor, who just happens to be Denzel Hunter, yay, treat you, but then I'm gonna go off to the side and make a secret communication and find out, oh, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna hang you as an example, but I'm not gonna tell you that. I was just like, Lord John, you just need
Yeah.
to get out. You need to get out.
Right. So I'm glad he's running, but
He's not in the best shape to be running right now.
no, that's what I'm
Can't,
saying. That's why I was
can't
like, I
see out
really
his
didn't care for
eye.
how this episode ended.
Yeah. He can't. Yeah, and it's so funny the how everything is doing the reveal about Jamie being alive, because like I said, Jamie comes out of the woods while Ian is being uh you know I'm not drugged, but he's kind of handcuffed, and he
Hmm.
following behind the wagon, and he looks at Jamie, and you can see he wants to react, he wants to cry, he wants to laugh, but he's like, oh, okay, let me just be quiet and see what's going on because at this
Right.
point, you know your uncle enough to know something ain't right.
Right. He about to try to get you out. That's what you already know. So
That too.
just keep quiet.
That too. But and then when Lord John sees Denzel in the camp and Denzel is checking out his eye, he was like, yeah, this eye is not that good. I do wish your wife was here. He was like, wife? Haha, I have no wife. You know why? Because Jamie Fraser is not dead. And Denzel's looking like, huh? Yeah. They just poor Lord John, he just got so much going on. Trying to keep from being hung. And then Denzel actually does something that he probably shouldn't do as a Quaker, but he's basically like, yeah, I'm gonna bring you some lunch and I'm also gonna bring you a knife so you can cut yourself out.
Right.
You need to go tonight. Bye. Oh, so the Quakers, we got both of the Quakers acting
Right.
uncharacteristically this
But
episode.
I like that though, because he was like, you got to go.
Right.
Because they gonna kill you.
Like you are a friend, even though you are, and again, these
Mm,
blurred lines, British rebels. But you know what? You are a person that I like and I respect. You need to get the fuck out now because they're going to kill you in the morning.
hmm
Bye. But he can't half see. And then the person, Smith, who is in the tent with him sleeping, happens to turn over and notice that he's gone. I was like, you could have just,
You could have been in a deep sleep. You
well, he
want to
was
roll over
already
now.
stirring earlier.
I
So
know, but you want to roll over
kind of,
now.
yeah, I kind of feel like John probably should have waited a little bit longer to make sure he was deeply asleep, but there's no telling how long that would have taken. That would have, cut down on the amount of time he would have had to escape. So,
hmm
I mean, he's caught between a rock and a hard place. He has no friends around him. The one person who probably in any other instance would have come to rescue him is the person who is kind of sort of responsible for him being in this, in this situation in the first place. So it's just kind of like he doesn't have much to go on.
No.
Nobody knows where he is right now. Jamie doesn't even seem
Like
bothered
he
by it
cared. Yes,
when
that's
when
what,
Claire
and that's
asked him about
another
it.
that's another thing that bothered me.
He's angry. He's very angry. And sometimes when we're angry, we say, think, and do things that we don't really feel, but we're just letting that. And I think once he calms down, once he kind of gets over the upset, now that he and Claire have had that conversation, that hard conversation, and now that they've had the table sex, I think he'll start calming down. He'll be like, okay, maybe I acted a little bit rashly, maybe. But he's still going to be pissed for a while. And
Yeah.
again, I don't think his being pissed had anything to do with Claire, especially once Claire kind of explained the situation and was basically like, this was not us making love. It was literally
Something
animal need.
different.
I needed something different.
hmm
I needed
hmm
somewhere to place my anger. I needed somewhere to place my rage. I needed somewhere to place my grief. And he
hmm
took it all, whatever you want to call it. I think now that she has explained that, he won't be so mad about that part because when you look at it in that way, Lord John was there for her in ways nobody else could have
hmm
been. So, and then again, this is somebody who she would never have those kind of romantic feelings for. So it's not like it was something that he should be threatened by. But again, Lord John's feelings for him, the fact that he now has to like really openly confront that, I
hmm
think that's just kind of like, okay, yeah, I kind of sort of gave him to some rebels, but I kind of sort of didn't have a choice. He should be okay. But again, he doesn't know about the letter in John's pocket up until later on. Then it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of which, the whole reason why he's running from soldiers in the first place, because even Lord John says, you just got to town, may I ask why soldiers are chasing you? And he had his papers, because
Yep.
that was what we thought. He didn't have papers. He said he had his papers,
Had
but
some extra.
I guess the soldier who was looking at him didn't like the look of them and wanted to search him. And he had some things on him that he did not want found. And those turns out to be some letters and some information from France that he brings to none other than General George Washington.
Right. And it was funny because watching this, Anthony was in the background. He was like, okay, so now with George Washington? I'm like, yep, we're at that point. George
Yep.
Washington.
Yep.
And then when George Washington offers him a position, you know how I was in the background. No, no,
Yeah.
please turn him down. No.
Especially considering the fact that you haven't even properly reunited with your wife yet. Like you had the one moment in the house, but y'all haven't even had a sit down to say, I'm so glad you're not dead. Can you tell me exactly what happened? And they, they get this later on, but when he comes in later on to have that conversation with her, he's already pissed and in a foul mood. So it's
Hmm.
just kind of like, dude, don't. Why are you accepting commissions and you ain't even like what?
Yeah, so
You gotta go
I
talk
was
to
already
Claire.
screaming, no, 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 and no. Damn, you literally just got back.
Just look,
Can we fix what's going on right here in your family first?
raised from the dead. Your
Damn.
wife married to another man, which I'm starting to think he probably heard a little bit about that because if he got back and he said he heard the Euterpe sank, he knew Claire would be worried. Maybe somewhere around there, if he asked, have you
Hmm.
seen a Madame Fraser or Lord John Grey or whatever, somebody might have said Lord John and Mistress Grey. They might have said something that kind of tip him off, but he
Hmm.
probably wasn't thinking about that. He was probably just like, okay, I need to get to my wife and we'll figure this out. But then the way that all of that stuff is revealed is just kind of like, no. But that conversation that they had, I, I was really, really trying to be patient with Jamie because I realized you've been gone for months at this point,
Yeah.
and you come back. Your wife has married your best friend. Your best friend has slept with your wife, and then kind of sort of not necessarily bragged to him about it, but like he said when the rebels pulled him off, he was like, "And I'm not sorry about it either." So you got a little bit of
Right. And Claire kept asking, like, where? Wait.
where is he? Is he
And
dead?
I'm
Did you
like,
kill
that's
him?
what bothered me. That's what bothered me. Cause I now I understand it's not the same, but to me it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now I understand you guys' issue with Claire and the ether. Because that's how I'm feeling about Jamie's reaction. I feel like it's not really him.
Yeah.
So that's what bothered me with this episode.
Yeah.
So I'm, to be completely honest, I like disconnect because even they have great communication, but it still was missing a piece when they were communicating. Like she was telling him everything that needed to be said, but
Mm-hmm.
like from him, it was like missing pieces.
But again,
For me, for
yeah,
you, for you to realize that you got to understand, like you need to be a little bit more caring that not they, just Claire. Let's just say Claire.
yeah.
Period.
Let's just
Thought you
yeah.
were dead.
Mm-hmm.
You literally just came back. When you came back to say you're not dead, you run off with Lord John.
Mm-hmm.
You leave him somewhere. You go off, do some other things. You deal with George Washington. Then you come back.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
And
acting
you come
kind
back
of
angry.
right and cold. And I had an issue with that.
Yeah.
Cause I would be like, I'm jealous, Claire. I just need to understand.
Mm-hmm. And we know Jamie is a jealous man.
Right. And I get that. And I totally get it. But some of it, like even when you were mad sometimes at people, you still kind of cared like what was happening to them. You
Mm-hmm.
just let you have no idea what they're doing to Lord John. None.
Mm-hmm.
And you have no urgency to go get them. Instead, y'all screwing on the table. That bothered me too.
Yeah. I mean,
Cause you really don't know. It's not like you left him in the pub drinking.
mm-hmm.
He'll make it home. Like he's been taken. He literally could be hanged.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't know.
Right.
So that kind of that just kind of that bothered me just a
Yeah.
tad. That just bothered me a tad,
Mm-hmm.
just a tad.
Yeah. I mean, and I understand that because it's kind of like you're having this conversation with your wife and all you can focus on is your anger. And it's like she's trying to tell you there is no one, there is really no good way to explain any of this. And again, I kind of feel like why has nobody mentioned the fact that,
Hmm.
oh, so this all started because I got caught being a spy and he was trying to keep me from being killed as a service to you, as the last good service he could do for his friend. Why nobody is mentioning this as a starting point
Hmm.
is so confusing to me because if you really think about it, if you really think about it, do you really think that Claire's just gonna up and marry somebody else after a couple of weeks? What?
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what. And then all that. I'm be honest with you. All that Lord John has done for you, which he really did not have to do and continue to do.
Mm-hmm. You better be glad that man in love with you, because
Right. So
he could have sent you to the States from Artsmuir. He could have sent you to
right,
the
or
States as
even
an
just
indentured
his
servant.
relationship with William, it could be totally
But
different.
I'm talking about even way before that.
That's
I'm
true.
talking about way before that. Jamie could have been further imprisoned after that escape attempt when he went to Silky Island. He came back. Lord John could have had him in prison for the rest of his life.
Right, but
When Ardsmuir closed, he could have sent Jamie to the States with the rest of the men.
totally sad. But
There's
even now,
so
even
many.
to this date, because you can be like, okay, that was in the past, but even up to now, he's been loyal. So I don't know. It's just me. I just wasn't feeling. But was it like that in the book, or it's just not playing well on the screen right now?
I
Like
think
their
part of,
interaction at that part, is it better in the book?
from what I remember, I would say yes, but I would
Okay.
say yes because they don't have the constraints that you have filming a show, trying to tell so much story in a few
Right, and
episodes.
I totally got
So
that, but just his just what is happening, even if it was even spanned out, I'm just not really caring about that interaction and his reaction. So that's what I'm saying. Is the reaction better in the book? But I think it's probably better in the book because it's more explained of why
it's,
he's feeling that
yeah,
way. And
yeah.
here they still could have done it, but it's just not to his character to me. It's something about it that's just not him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean,
But some stuff was funny though, because she didn't quite like when he said, "You do lead with your body."
she
Oh,
slapped and she was like, oh, so I'm a whore now. He was like, no, that's not what I mean. Like, and I get what he was trying to
I
say.
get what he was saying too, but
It
it
was a
did come.
charged conversation
Yeah,
already. You just did
yeah,
not say it in the right way.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Like
but
you talk with your body, you express sometimes your emotion with your body, but I didn't
mhm.
mean that you were a whore.
Right.
I got it too what he was trying to say, but she was like, mm-mm.
Yeah, this was one of the times when Jamie Fraser's words failed him.
Right.
Yeah. But
So,
but yeah, I think with them only having what is it, 7, 8 episodes on this back half, again, there's so much story that I think they're going to put in this last season and a half of the story. All the stuff with Arabella slash Jane. I didn't think that they were gonna delve into that because I was like, how are you gonna have time? Because Jane for William, that the storyline and the relationship between Jane and William and the things that happen from this point on is such an integral part of William's growth
mhm.
and and I will be honest, it's a little bit of can't say without spoiling it, but I it's very important to the story. I didn't know if they were going to be able to do it, but even though they're bringing her in, I feel like the storyline is going to be condensed
Mhm.
because there's some major things that are going to have to happen in order to push William's story forward and to push Jane's story. And then I will just say in the books, Jane has a little sister. So, like I said, William becomes kind of a protector of them, trying to make sure that, he's trying to help them get out the brothel. He's trying just different things. And I just feel like in a sense, it's probably going to be rushed in the show because
Okay.
there's also another key character that is coming in that I didn't know if they were going to do that storyline, but then there was like a little interview video with some of the characters, and one of the characters was talking about, I think the question was, who is more romantic, you or your character? And
Mhm.
one of the actors said, well, I think we'll see that my character is a little bit more romantic. Up until this point, no, but there is some stuff coming up that that'll show us a different side to the character. And I was like, yes, they're doing that storyline. But I was like, wait, how? Because if you bring that storyline in, that means there's at least four more characters that are going to have to come into the story. And I don't know if they're going to
I
have the
don't know.
time
They
to
don't
do
have the
all of
time
that.
for that.
So I will say, if they do bring those characters, if they do bring that storyline, if they do have to condense it, I hope they condense it in a way that makes sense. Like with the whole thing with Claire and Lord John and everything from the time that Claire left Scotland, we knew that there was chunks of time going by. It wasn't like this
Hmm.
all happened in a few days. Like this is a course of several months from the time that Claire left Scotland to the time that Jamie returns. So I think they did a good job with that, even though, yes, I do kind of feel like some of it is rushed. But again, I think for the amount of canon that there is in the books and what they can and can't do on screen, I think they're doing a really good job.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at it, and especially now that I know the story, I can see what changes they've made and what sacrifices they've had to make so far. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not all that bothered by it because I know we're pressed for time. And the way that they're telling the story is not detrimental to what's going to happen on screen. I don't feel like, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, I'm following the story. There's not anything that's really going on that's making me feel like, so how did they get to this point? I think the only
Hmm.
thing is that person who was keeping Lord John hostage, the fact that he referred to him as Smith and kind of made references to like a past, I don't even want to say relationship, a past acquaintanceship or something between
Hmm.
them. I was like, okay, I had to sit here and think, and I think I remember who this person actually is. So I may take a look at the books and be like, okay, let me see if it's this person. Oh, yes. Oh, no. But aside from that one person, because of the way that they introduce them, I think they're doing a good job. It's just there, like I said, there's so much story. And yes, I do believe that conversation with Jamie and Claire, I do believe there was much more to it in the books. But again, you have the benefit with the book of that scene could have been 10, 20 pages long, full of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
But you can only do so much in an hour episode, especially when if you're trying to get to several other plot points in the storyline. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Hopefully Jamie got whatever pistivity he had towards Claire. Hopefully he's got that out of his system and they can actually focus on trying to find Lord John. And then as we see in this episode, he really does need to have a conversation with his son.
Yeah, he does.
And not throwing him up against the tree. But you know what? I'm kind of glad that he did that because I feel like William had this attitude that because Jamie lied to him because of this secret, because of the way that he found out, because he feels like he has the right to be pissed, which he does. I think he really thought that Jamie was just gonna let him talk to him any kind of way and act
Right, and
any kind of
that's
way.
not gonna
Jamie
happen.
was like,
Mm-mm.
"Hold up, let me let you in on a little secrets. You know me, but you don't know me.
Right,
So let me show you who I really am now." He threw that boy up against that tree. He was like, "You, whatever you got to do, you are going to go get my nephew out of that
right. He was
tree."
like, "Boo, you about to get this together."
Like, bruh, I didn't raise you. I did raise that one, but we
Mm-hmm.
not gonna do
Just because you upset.
right. But yeah, they're gonna have a conversation. But they need to find Lord John first.
Please, and he needs to care.
And I think he does, but
I mean,
again,
I know he
I
does,
think
but
that anger is gonna be with him.
right. Well, hopefully, when they're done on the table, he can go like try to find out where he is and rescue him.
It's
I'm
like
just saying.
curtains all open. I mean, I understand you didn't want to go to the same bed where she laid with John, but still, it's like, where was Mrs. Fig at the time? Was Mrs. Fig just like, oh, I'm just gonna go into the kitchen and I'm just gonna stay there for a while, or maybe she was cleaning up Williams?
Everybody,
Oh, because
everybody. Yeah, I don't know.
they're right there. So I don't know, but you know what? They got whatever they needed to out their system. They got that one good, okay, I gotta get back in my body. I gotta get
Hmm.
okay. So now y'all need to start fixing some shit. Go find Lord
Right.
John, sit down with William, and I don't even know if Jamie has told Claire yet that he accepted this new commission because she's not gonna be pleased about that. But I mean, she said in the last episode that what did she tell Ian? Jamie and I made a home here and we wanted to be a part of building this new nation. So I guess they're gonna be building that new nation. I mean,
Yeah. Be a
she
part
said
of
he
it.
wasn't gonna have a chance to do it, and now he does.
Yep, we want to be a part of it.
So let me ask you, during the conversations with George Washington, were you hearing little snippets of Hamilton in your head? Okay, it's not
Yeah.
okay because every time
George
something
Washington's
happens,
going home. Yep, I
and they
did.
also because I think in one of the earlier episodes, maybe it was from earlier in season 7, Jamie mentioned the Continental Congress. And I
Yeah,
was like, oh, he's gonna see Alexander Hamilton. But yeah, you said you were done fighting.
yeah.
But I mean, I guess too at the same time, if you have someone as respected and someone as revered as George Washington asking you to be a part of history, to be a part of this change, he
Hmm.
probably didn't feel like he could say no. Because at this point, George Washington is like the man. He is the person that's leading the rebels. He's the yeah, I just don't see I don't see any way Jamie could have said no and still been okay. You know, one of the things about Jamie, his name does command respect
Mm-hmm.
because of all the things that he has done, not just in the lead up to the American Revolution, but of course, all the people who are fighting with him, they know a little bit about his Scottish background. They know a little bit about his Culloden background, his Jacobite background.
Mm-hmm.
So he carries a lot of respect. But I think if he had refused, he might have started having problems. Maybe not big problems, but especially the fact that, okay, you just came back in town from Scotland. You're refusing to take part in our side of the war, which, you know, if they'll remember, oh yeah, you didn't want to fight with us. You know, when we went to Saratoga, when we were at Ticonderoga, you didn't want to do that
Mm-hmm.
with us either. And oh, what happened when people thought you were dead? Your wife married a British soldier. So they might, if he didn't step up and say, okay, yes, I'll take this commission, he might have had difficulties in other
Mm-hmm.
aspects, especially because Claire don't know how to sit down and just wait. But I mean, again, she did kind of put herself in that position to where she had to marry Lord John because she
Yeah,
was trying to help Mercy out. So I don't know. I just, you know, I think I said this before. I'm really tired of the war stuff. I know it's got to happen, and I know we've got to go through that. I understand it.
that's why I was screaming, no, no, no.
Because now you know we're going to see some more battles.
Yes,
And
yes. That's why I can't.
yeah,
Well, not that many because we don't have much time. That's the good thing about it. We don't have much time. So you can't. You really can't.
depends on how long they drag, like what the time span is,
Mm-hmm.
how they drag all of this out. Because I don't even remember what the year is right now. I know it's 17, I want to say 1778 or 9.
Mm.
I think it's one of those 2 years, but um yeah, I just Jamie don't need to be fighting anymore.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Because and then also, if Jamie fights, Claire's not gonna let him go off on his own. She's gonna come because she's the surgeon, she's the medic, they're gonna need her, which is true. So that means they're both gonna be in it. And then of course
Mm-hmm.
Ian's gonna be in it. And now that he and Rachel are like together, it's just there's so much.
They're in it too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a lot of stuff to fit into these next season and a few episodes. And I don't even think in this episode, I don't even think we got any Brianna and Roger stuff.
No, we did not.
So we still got all that stuff
Yep.
to wonder
The
about
next
as well.
episode. Mm-hmm. We do. Because I was thinking that too, like, okay, we left off cameras on the floor.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
cast iron skillet.
right. And with the knowledge that Jim is not in the past.
Right.
So
And no
that,
Roger this episode either.
yep, nope,
And that shenanigans of finding
right,
daddy.
right.
So
So yeah, they have a lot to work in. But like I said, I will say this, for the most part, Outlander has done very well with merging their storylines, or even when they've had to move stuff further into the storyline or take some stuff that should be happening later and putting it sooner in the episodes. They all work because I don't think I've had a real like complaint about the pacing of this show. The
No,
only thing, the only
right,
thing was the whole Ether storyline and the Lionel Brown storyline. And even
right.
when I
That
went
did
back and
that.
did my rewatch, that wasn't as bad as I
It
remember.
wasn't bad. It didn't bother me. I
Yeah,
know it bothered you, but it did drag just a little bit.
just a little
But
bit.
then we're making up for it now because now we're just like we were going 35, now we're going 60.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's a nice 60. Like
yeah,
I'm not missing anything.
yeah.
It's just
But
a tad bit
I
faster.
just, yeah,
No
I just do
complaints on that.
wish.
Because then with that, you almost like, okay, well, you can get a lot of story in.
Yeah, I just wish that they would have given us one more season.
But right, and that would have gave time for, I guess, him coming back from the dead and those whole interactions, and it would have been
Mhm.
more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if we had had more, like if we had another season or even just a few more episodes, because I don't think season 8 is very long. It might be
Mm,
7 or 8 episodes, but give us maybe one or two more episodes. We could have spent maybe a little bit more time in Scotland, because that is one thing I am disappointed about
oh yeah, because
for this
we
season,
zoomed.
because there was such a big build up to it about them getting home, about them going to Scotland, them getting Ian home, them seeing the family, and then we literally got what, 2 episodes, maybe not even a full 2 episodes.
And then they
It,
had to leave.
yeah, and it was basically them coming, to say goodbye to Big Ian, which, yes, that happens in the books, but there's also a lot more story in between there. So
Mm,
you get the feeling of being in Scotland for a lot longer.
yeah.
So
So yeah, I get that.
yeah. But I don't know. I think first and foremost, we need to find Lord John. We need to rescue him. We need to figure out if he was, because I don't think he was shot. Maybe it was just to scare him, because shooting him when he escapes, I don't think will work out for the British Army the way they needed to. Like they were really going to hang him because they needed to set an example.
Hmm.
And the only thing that you're showing, if you shoot him when he escapes, is that your people weren't competent enough to keep hold of a half blind, um you know, half blind, bound prisoner. Like, how did he get away? How did y'all let him escape? You got 3 guards standing in front of the tent. Didn't nobody say, let's go check the back, let's check the inside, yeah.
Yeah, no.
So find him. William needs to get all of that anger out his system, which I know that's not going to be an overnight thing, especially for him.
No.
Like it was different for Brianna, I think, because one, Brianna had a different, she had a different support system because she had Roger there while she was figuring all of this out,
Yeah, she did.
you know. Um,
And he really don't have anybody.
no, because the one person he thought he had, she's engaged to somebody else now. His cousin on top of that. So not only has he lost the I guess the love of his life, she's about to be family.
And she knew all along.
That poor baby, yeah, she suspected. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think even in the book when that revelation came out, she was like, "Oh, what secret that Jamie is your father?" He was like, "Excuse me." No, she was like, "It's like looking in a mirror. Like y'all are twin, because like I said in the books, they are mirror images of each other, which is one of the reasons why Jamie has stayed away from him so long.
Hmm.
And the older he gets, he's like, yeah, I'm never going to see him again, because the minute he looks at me, he will know. Well, it's all out in the open now. So now we got to deal with it. We got to let William work through his anger. And then there needs to be a little bit of acceptance. And then he needs to figure out what he's going to do because he can still tell people that he's the ninth Earl of Ellesmere. And I think nobody would question it, but he was raised by Lord John. So I feel like he's going to have that same type of code of honor that Lord John does. He's not going to want to lie. He's not going to want to claim inheritance and property that does not belong to him by right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes from here. I don't think he will be that quickly reconciled to Lord John or Jamie, not like Brianna was, because Brianna literally had the truth pushed in her face, as far as Claire and the Stones with Gaylus Duncan. That's the other thing. Brianna had something else. She had another catalyst to make her say, oh, wait, my mom is not crazy. She's telling the truth. William doesn't have any of that. And he can't even ask the people who he really wants to ask. He can't even ask because both Geneva and Isabel are gone.
Yeah.
So even if Jamie were to tell him the truth about what happened, he's only hearing Jamie's side of the story. Truthfully, he doesn't know Jamie. He doesn't know that Jamie is also an honorable man. So if Jamie were to come to him and say, yeah, your mom basically blackmailed me because she didn't want to be a virgin when she got married to this 80-something-year-old man, William could always say, you might be lying. I mean, think about it. He even asked Claire, like, was it rape? And I'm like, everything that you know about Claire, do you think Claire would be with Jamie if he raped? Like, if he raped Geneva, and not only that, but the product of that quote unquote rape was walking around, that's not Claire.
Right. And I'm gonna talk about it with you. Like, that doesn't even seem
Yeah.
right.
But again, he's
He's
he
all over the place. He's
yeah,
spiraling.
yeah,
So
yeah. So I just, again, like I said, I just kind of want to reach through the screen and kind of give him a hug and say it's gonna be okay. But yeah, he's gonna have to go through some stuff because now he really, really has to grow up.
yeah, he does.
Like, no doubt about it. Now, there's way too much stuff going on. And then, depending on what happens with Lord John, like if he wasn't shot, but maybe he was recaptured, that's going to add some stuff. And then, once they started realizing, okay, there might be something seriously wrong because he has not come back yet, just like with Mrs. Figg saying, yeah, so Lord John was supposed to he was supposed to go to General Clinton and he hasn't shown up yet. And that's when Jamie and Claire realized that he's been recalled to action. Now they're really gonna have to see him be like, oh shit, what do we do? Like
Yeah.
Jamie is gonna have to go and fix that somehow. And I don't know how he's gonna do that unless, oh wait, unless he calls on his new friend George Washington and be like, hey, I know he's a British soldier. I know he's an enemy, but I need you to do me a favor
And release him.
and release him.
That's what I thought was gonna happen. But when
It's
he
probably
didn't
going to have
mention
to
and he didn't mention it, I was like, well, damn, he just really just leaving them out there to dry.
because he probably didn't think that it was going to be something that serious. Because this is again, like Lord John said, this is a distant cousin. That would be like me being held responsible for something that one of my second or third cousins who I've never met has done. But back then, I guess they really don't care. They're like, oh, your name is Gray. Okay, you'll do.
Yeah, that's
So
it. That's all we need. That's all we need.
that's all we need. But no, not that one. Y'all can't have him. No. So something's going to have to happen, whether he has another escape attempt or whether somebody comes to his rescue and be like, okay, look, y'all can't hang this man because ABC. Something's going to have to happen though, because Lord John needs to, one, he needs to escape so he can go get that ugly ass eye looked at because that thing looks horrible.
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 It does.
Like, like Jamie, were you only focusing on the left side of his face?
Right.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, he needs to get that taken care of before he's permanently blind. And then he ain't gonna be no good to nobody. Because they're just gonna look at him and be like, oh, you're blind, you can't serve in the army, you can't do this, you can't do that. What good are you? That's how they're gonna treat him.
It's bad though. It really is.
It is, because he can't even move his eyeball up and down. So yeah, he needs to be rescued, he needs to escape. Whatever, pardon him, whatever. Yeah, pardon him, because one, he didn't go into the town and blow it up. That was his cousin who did all that. And no, just leave him alone. I'm just to the point where I'm like, leave the Frasers alone, leave Ian alone, leave Lord John Gray alone. Give them some time to get through all this mess, this big mess that they have made of their lives. And I guess let Jamie go to war and take on his or take his frustrations out on
Hmm.
killing British soldiers. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just, oh, that episode was so hard to watch at the beginning
Oh
because
yeah.
I knew what was coming. And
Yeah.
Lord John, the whole thing with Jamie being dead, Lord John marrying Claire, sleeping with her, that was something I was spoiled about years ago before I ever read it in the book. So I knew it was coming, but I thought it was more of a, like, when people said Lord John and Claire slept together, I really was thinking, I was like, they must have, I don't know, maybe fallen in love with each other in their grief,
I loved
because
it.
I didn't know what the time span was.
Uh-huh.
I just knew that this happened. So I was like, okay. And then they're like, yeah, when Jamie finally came back, he beat Lord John almost to death. And I was just like, what? So yeah, it was a hard watch. I literally had to keep pausing it because I was just like, I don't know how this is gonna go. And then every time Lord John opened his mouth, I had to pause the TV like, shut up, John. Shut up, John. You're making it worse. You're making it worse. Shut up. Why are you saying this? Why did you say that? Oh my God. That's literally how I watched this episode, because it was just so much. And I was just sitting there tense. And when I say David Barry and Sam Hewen, they nailed that scene, because you could feel everything coming off of them in waves. And I was just like, I can't do this. I can't watch this. Please kiss and make up, or do the shake hands and make up, or do something and make up and go home, because I don't want what's gonna happen. Like, I'm like, no, I know Lord John is about to be captured and all this stuff. I don't want that. Just make up and be happy and just okay. But yeah, it's not gonna happen anytime soon. They just need to rescue him though.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Rescue him. And then give us a little bit more of Ian and Rachel now that they are like fully,
Oh,
oh
now
yeah,
they're a
betrothed.
thing.
Because let me tell you, now that they
Now
are
they're a
betrothed,
thing. Yes.
Rachel, I have a feeling we're about to see a whole different side to Rachel, because
Right. That's what I'm
Rachel.
telling. I told you I want that cap. I want that cap off. I want that cap off. I want that woman scene. Wonder Woman scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cap off. Take that hair. And she in battle. Take somebody.
Slapping British soldiers.
Yes. Take them down for her man. Take them down.
Oh goodness. Yep. Okay. But did we skip over anything? I feel like we missed something, but I think we talked about everything.
We talked about everything.
Okay. I guess if we missed something, we'll pick it up in the next.
Mm-mm. We talked about
You
because they it was really focused on
oh,
William,
yeah. William, and then Lord John,
Lord John,
and
and Jamie
Jamie
and
and Claire.
Claire. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Because I
Because
still
we
feel
didn't
like
get a lot of anyone else or anything else.
no. because this was like literally the explosive episode. This was, and I
Right, that's what I'm
knew
saying.
it.
This is just the fallout from
Hmm.
that one scene at the end of the last episode.
Hmm. And I
Uh,
knew when they released the episode titles, and I saw that this one
mm-hmm.
was carnal knowledge. I said, okay, I'm gonna have to prepare for this one because I knew this one was gonna be a heavy episode.
Mm-hmm.
I knew. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'm gonna have to see Lord John get his ass whooped. That's why in the last episode, when you were like, yeah, they just need to fight it out a little bit and they'll be all right. I was like, oh, be careful what you ask for because that wasn't a little fight. Like
No.
I think he wasn't as bad in the show as he was in the books because I do believe in the books he was. I think Jamie may have broken some ribs or something. Like he was hurt.
Oh.
He was hurt. So okay. Um so just in case, this is the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle and I both work in education, and we are kind of finishing up this week before the break. So our episodes may be a couple of days late, but we are still recording as soon as we can find the time. And our regular recording schedule for the remainder of the year is probably going to be kind of sporadic
Mm-hmm.
because trying to wrangle the two of us is hard enough, but also with the guys trying to do the stuff that we are doing and all of our schedules, it's just kind of impossible right now. But we are going to be bringing you newer episodes, especially in January. We will be covering Doom Prophecy. Lori will be back with us after an extended hiatus to deal with
Mm-hmm.
some personal stuff. So Lori will be back to discuss Doom Prophecy with us. Marvel's What If is coming out in a few days for the final season.
Oh,
So we
is
will be,
it?
yes, December 22nd, and they're
Oh,
going to be releasing an
wow.
episode every day for 8 days. And that is the season series finale. So we will be covering that. We still have a Daryl Dixon episode to talk about. We still have a few episodes for the boys to talk about. So we will be bringing you that content starting at the beginning of 2025. But for now, that is it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media, on all the social media at Fandom Hybrid. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel. You can chat with us on our Discord channel, and you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.